Thank you for hosting this event. The idea is to have a conversation on human rights activists and Islamists in Libya. I will introduce Nebras, which I'm delighted to have here in the United States now. And Nebras, you saw already the short bio. I will add to that to say that Nebras is one of the most impressive human rights activists that I met in Libya. I was in Libya for 2 years. I first arrived in November of 2011, just a month after officially the war or revolution was fought, and I was there for a couple of years. The reason why I think that I was so impressed with Nebras is that she's very positive and energetic. She wants to make things happen, and she's also not quite conscious of the risk that she runs. I think that it's a miracle that she and her son are alive and that they made it out of Libya. And Nebras had been both working as a journalist after the fall of Gaddafi and as a human rights activist, took part in many initiatives, and also was working for organizations such as Chemonics or other agencies that were developing civil society in Libya. So before I hand the floor to Nebras, I took upon myself to just lay out a little bit of the background of civil society in Libya. So I'll give you a little bit of a picture of how civil society in Libya was under Gaddafi, if there was such, anything like that, and what happened after the revolution. So, as you know, Gaddafi took power in 1969 and was one of the most brutal dictatorships in the Middle East and North Africa until February of 2011. For those 42 years, in reality, there was no really freedom to associate in Libya. Gaddafi initially didn't quite squeeze society and put a strong grasp on freedoms until the mid-70s, when he started cracking down quite brutally on activists. And he started doing public hangings of human rights activists and leaders of student unions that were the most threatening because they were organized and they were most vocal in the country. So what happened is he slowly cleaned the society from associations. The penal code in Libya provided the death penalty for anybody that created or joined an organization that was not approved by the regime. And as a matter of fact, until the revolution, shortly after the revolution had started, an organization reported that allegedly there were only 22 organizations belonging to civil society, supposedly, before the revolution, that were registered in Libya. But even these 22 were not really independent civil society organizations. They were an extension of the regime. Examples are the foundation created by Saif al-Islam, who supposedly was doing work with human rights, and in fact did some work with prisoners in jail, and the charities created and supervised by Aisha Gaddafi. The only two organizations that I can think of that were quasi-independent were the Scouts and the Libyan chapter of the Red Crescent. And the Scouts because Gaddafi actually was a scout himself when he was a kid, and the Red Crescent. And so they enjoyed a kind of a quasi-independence. But in reality, the truth is there was no real civil society to speak of, independent of the regime, until the revolution. As an anecdote, security forces were turned inbound to actually repress any figure from emerging in Libya. And a funny thing that some activists told me when I was in Libya is that it's the only country that I know of where soccer games would be played and the commentator would call the players by their number, not by their name. So I would say, number 9 has passed ball to number 5 and 5 is advancing. Because Gaddafi didn't want the names to be used. Because otherwise, since soccer is very, very popular in Libya, he was afraid that maybe a good soccer player could become a public figure. So preventing that, he was using numbers. So just to tell you a little bit of psychology of Gaddafi and his regime. The revolution started officially on 17th of February of 2011. In reality, 2 days earlier, on the 15th of February, as pretty much every year, families, and particularly mothers of victims of the Abu Slim massacre that killed 1,270 detainees in the Abu Slim prison in the mid-80s, and that was kept silent for many, many years by the regime, were protesting. It was a very small protest, and it was happening every year. But for some reason, obvious reasons, because of Tunisia and Egypt already being down in the streets, this year was particular. So during that protest, these mothers and a few other people that protested in Benghazi in front of the court, which we could call an example of activism, if not human rights activists, were repressed, and the lawyer that were defending the victims was arrested. 2 days later, the protests were much larger and also in other cities, and that kicked off the Libyan revolution. During the revolution, out of nothing, out of nowhere, nobody expected such an amazing phenomenon. There were hundreds of organizations that appeared in Libya. And where I did, together with several teams in 6 different cities in Libya, we surveyed 1,024 civil society organizations. And since the 6 cities cover about half of the population in Libya, we could speculate that after 2 years since the revolution, for a population of 6.5 million, roughly, at that time, there were more than 2,000 organizations in Libya in only 2 years. So that's remarkable, and it's an untold story. It's a reality that people don't know or ignore. And it's not understandable from looking at Libya that the political culture was not conducive, the institutions were not there, the regime never allowed civil society to flourish. So it's quite an amazing phenomenon that happened in Libya. A particularly interesting aspect of it were human rights activists. And so Nebras is one of them that I met in Tripoli during, I think it was
Voice conference.
A conference and
about women's rights.
Exactly,
Yeah,
on women's rights. And they are maybe the spearhead of this civil society, as if you see civil society as a possible agent of change. So, Nebras, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm very happy, and I think that we have an amazing opportunity to hear from you.
Yeah.
Can I just also say that Jean-Louis has produced an excellent paper on civil society in Libya, which is available at the Brandeis website.
Yep.
We don't have copies with us here.
No, I didn't bring copies, but I'll bring copies next time I come.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Jean-Louis, for inviting me for this presentation, and thank you, Mr. Nadim, for accepting me here to give this presentation about Libyan human rights and Islamic State, especially the extremists in Libya. I was an activist before the revolution. I was working as an engineer normally, but after the revolution, I start my human rights work from 2011. After I felt like we had now the chance to start this opportunity. About the human rights in general in Libya, like my friend Jean-Louis, he said, they apparently, because we never used to work any kind of civil society in Libya, and they separate, by extremely number, and in Libya with different kind. It's about humanitarian and social charity, different kind of organization. The beginning of the revolution, like the one organization, you will find inside it, it's like different type of like human rights work, charity work, defender work. It's different type. But after a while, we had like a kind of a training from some foreign organization that show us, I mean, how exactly the organization should start work, and like if you were an activist, if you were a journalist, if you were a lawyer, how you should your position and start working inside Libya. And that time start to like from one organization separate, small, another different kind of organization. And they start to work more humanitarian work and more specific work. It's I mean, some of the work, it was about the war, like some of them they were typing how many people get killed in the revolution, what happened in the women through the revolution, what happened if you were against the revolution, what happened to you. And this kind of work, like, it's not acceptable from the both part. Like the revolution part don't accept it, the part that who against the revolution, and also the part they are supporting Gaddafi regime, they don't accept it, the revolution part. And that's why they start to like call names to each other. And we also, I mean, worked like we find the more countries like Tawarga, it's gets attacking by Misrata, because before Tawarga it was like a kind of a slave inside Misrata. Not exactly it's a slave, but like they work inside their houses, they serve a lot of things to them. And after the revolution, like Tawarga, they get part to attack Misrata, like kind of revenge to themselves. And that Misrata didn't accept that, and they attack them much. I mean,
if I may, I'm going to just say Tawarga is a small town not too far from Misrata, which is the third largest town in Libya. Tawarga is this town mainly populated by black Libyans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we can say that their color, and also they, Misrata, they don't think they are Libyan. They think like Gaddafi bring them from South Africa and put them inside Libya and give them the Libyan nationality, and the kind of they don't accept them. And until now, we still have this problem between these two cities. Like, the whole Tawarga, they are, like refugee inside Libya and outside Libya. And they have a lot of tents, like in Benghazi and in Derna, and actually it's not exactly in Derna, in around Derna, and also in Tripoli, in the south. And a lot of them, they still killed. Like if we signed, like a lot of them, they killed by Misrata people, but they don't public that, because it's like kind of revenge from them, and they blame them for raped a lot of women inside Misrata. This is one part. We have another part, like Islam. After we will say, like after the revolution, there is a group come like Islamic extremists in Libya, and actually I was follow this subject from the beginning. I had the chance to follow this subject from the beginning, and to see how they grow up inside Libya, and how that affected badly with the activists, human rights people or defender. The Islamic State starts in Derna. The extremists start in Derna, and start before, through the revolution, the beginning of the revolution. And they were very highly work and never popular to people. But they start working through organization called النهي عن المعروف والأمر عن المنكر. I don't know. It's if I can translate it. النهي بالمعروف الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر.
Yes, which is the Organization for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prohibition of Sin.
Yeah. This organization starts by, most of Sheikh, they get out from Abu Slim prison, and also some people, they are from Jihadiyya Muqatila, Libyan fighters. group, and they start this organization to kind of like show people what exactly the Islam and what exactly according to their point of view, and they try to solve or also be a part of solve problems inside the society by peace way at the beginning. And then it starts this part, like separate a lot of part from them, like they training a lot of children, again, I mean teenagers through mosque or through houses, and like keep a group inside house and make a meeting and start to talk to them according to typical things like what kind of youth they are, what's happened to them, and these things. Then this part start to grow up. I mean, the Islamic extremists, they start to grow up part by part, and the mid of 2011, they start to attend the front line of Libya to against of a Gaddafi regime. And that time, they were like typing who's the activists in the areas. And they were working highly, like we will say in the east side, especially in Derna, because it was my area. I will say like how many activists in Derna and how many organization work in Derna. They type that, but they never attack at that time. Just type. They communicate with others. They see the women work in that. I mean, the society. What's happened after the revolution, and they start with the children inside the mosque. Like, tell your mom that it's not good that she go out wearing a trouser, jeans, or these things. Tell your mom that it's not allowed to shake a foreign person like a man and open the door for them. Start very small things. My son, he was part of this, and then they start like kidnapping in the after 2000. I mean, I will jump to 2012 that we will have the first election at 7 July 7th, 2012. The first election happened in Libya, and we choose the GNC, General Council, General GNC, General National Council. Yeah. And that time we thought that we still have, like Libya, it will go to the humanitarian, I mean, side, and we will think, we were thinking that Libya, it will survive, and we have our dream, like we will have democratic country and we will have all these things. And we start like teach people how make organization, and we try to defend about our rights. And also we talk about the people they are inside the prisons who are supporting Gaddafi, and who people who get killed through the war, through the revolution, about them. I mean, we said we don't need to be the same face that Gaddafi he did to us. We need to be like a good side. But at that it's the point that the Islamic group go like sneaky way through the organization. They like attend the organizations, and they became part through the organization. Like the beginning, give advisation, then the beginning, then work with them, and then they have very deep information about each organization and who is the most activist. In the end of 2012, here we start to have a problem that activists kidnapping, activists disappear. Activists get shooting in the road. You don't know who get kill them. Like people talk, oh, extremists. Who is the extremists? We don't have any extremists in Libya. No, we have. Okay, who are they? No, you don't have. Like you will find two parts fighting. We have extremists. We don't have an extremists. This is a rumor. This is kind of. And in reality, I mean, that time we had an extremists, and they start to grow up. I mean, partly, and separate in the whole areas. And I remember that I talked to Mustafa Abdul Jalil at 2012. I talked him at 2011 to that. I told him, Mustafa Abdul Jalil, we have this kind of group. They have this number, and they have like kind of a training. They have a new guns come to them like every several time. He said, Nebras, now we are faced Gaddafi. We don't, think, we know everything. We will look to them later.
And that was the Prime Minister of Libya.
Yes, he was the first Prime Minister of Libya. Then, after a while, this group became more an extent. It was just in Derna, then become more around Derna. And we told them, like, talk to him again. And he said, we know each one and we will care. Then he never became phone about this. And if you talk to him, he said, we don't have this kind of type of Libya about people, like extremists. And then, through the GNC, we find that the GNC, member of the GNC, funded some extremists in the east side or in general. And they make a meeting with them, and they support them, and they like give them a rights to do a lot of things. When we have people get killed, we talk to the people. To the government, and we said we need a regular army in Libya. We don't need any kind of militias, and we don't need we make a lot of as defenders, as a human rights defender. We faced the militias, and we said we don't need you. We need really army. And a lot of defenders get threatened by this. Like some of them, they had plastic bags, have 2 pills inside, and later tell you, if you don't stop what you are doing, you will be killed. A lot of activists had that. Or you will have a phone call foreign number you don't know, and if you didn't pick up, you will find a letter that if you didn't stop your work, you will be killed, or something happen to you. We have people like Abdul Mu'izz Banoun. He is a very activist person in the social media, and also as a journalist. He gets kidnapped, and we had some information that he is in Misrata. Like we followed his way he's kidnapped, and we have we send letters to Misrata, like let him away, and he said we don't have him. If you need to come and see. Some people, activists, they went to Misrata and look around the prisons, and they said we have just the criminal, we have just the people. They are out of law. Okay, what kind of law they are out? What people you talk about? They give. Most of Libyans, they give themselves. Rights to do a lot of them, a lot of kidnapping or killing or whatever. I have a friend, her name is Fariha al-Berkawi. Maybe you know that she get killed in, before her, Sarwa Bougaigis. She is a famous lawyer and activist in Libya. She get killed inside her house. And after her a while, Fariha al-Berkawi also, she was a GNC member, and she was from Mahmoud Jibril party. And she and another woman, her name Ibtisam Stata, also they were very activist. They were government, but they were very, very activist. Ibtisam get threatened many times. They hit her son, and they threatened her daughter until she escaped from Derna, and she left. She never back to Derna, and take her whole family outside of Derna and stay in Tripoli. And she cut all her relation about connection with society because she get threatened many times. Fariha al-Berkawi, she had a lot of threaten, but she never gave up. She continued and until get killed in last Ramadan 2014 in her car, and she was working against of I will not say that, but she was she called me that day, and she said, Nebras, I have papers about Muslim Brotherhoods. It's very important. I need you to come and take it and public it to the other organization. And I don't know. I mean, the way she gets killed, like black car come, you don't know who is coming to you, open the windows and shoot you and run. No one talk. If someone try to help you, like another car come to you, said, if you help her, you will be the next. If you do that, you will be like threat. And people stop talking, and people stop to stop saying something against the extremists. And we have this opinion that like we are an activist, and we should continue. And myself, I got threatened many times. First, I was working with UNDP and with David. I forgot last name. Anyway. I was working with him like a translator, and also about militias group, and preparing meetings with the militias group and see how they working. I got message in my phone and said, Nebras, if you don't stop working with the foreign organization, you will be in danger. I laughed that time. I thought, it's funny things. Another activist, he have also a letter come to his door, like if you don't stop your working, you will be in danger. Like a lot of activists have this, and all of us, when we talk, you had this, is it real? Oh no, it's not real. Just let us continue our work, and we continue and continue. And unless we had a time that Fariha and Salwa Bougaïgis get killed, and after it Tawfiq and Sami get killed, and after it Intisar and Asma get killed, and after it, like, we find there is no different who get killed. Women, men, child, youth. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, they don't put a level to, if you were an activist, if you work against of them, if you do everything against of them, you will be in danger and you will be killed. We have a lot of lawyers and judge. They work with us as activists too, and they were registered in any type of kidnapping or killed, and talk to them. I mean, the persons who was groups who were kidnapping, the extremists or another militias, they go and talk to them and said, this is not good. Sharia is not like that. Sharia is like that. And they talk to them by Islam way, because they are really studied Quran very well. And when we find them, the extremists find them, they are in very power position. Here it will be a problem. Here they should be killed, these people. We have a person, he is from Kapila, he is a sheikh, I don't know, he is like high level in Kapila, in family, and like, yes, and people listen to him. His name is Zuki, and he tried a lot to solve this problem with the extremists and talk to them. And as he said, we have a relation like by Kapila and extremists and the activists. Like in one family, you will find brother, he is activist, other he is extremist, and the father, he is between, because both of them, they are their sons. And like he preferred to be in his extremist side, because he will be the most danger against of his, the other one activist. And here start the problem. Like Zuki, he start to talk to the people and said, tell about your sons, talk about yourself. Tell, I have a son, he's an extremist, and tell people, and let us deal with them. And if we catch them, don't tell, let your family follow us or come and make a problem with us, because we need to solve this problem. But in general, the families, they refuse to do that. They said, we don't need to lose them again. And if they were extremists, they are in Sharia, that means they are still rights. And they start to, like, they're afraid. In deeply, when you talk to them in deeply, you will find they disagree with them. But at the same time, because they are part of from the family, they can't leave them, and they can't say people, I have a child, or I have a cousin, or I have these things.
And Nebras, can you, since you started mentioning this,
Yeah.
Could you expand on the role of tribes and how tribes approached the increasing aggressiveness of Islamic groups in Derna in particular?
Yeah. Um, in Derna, we had like a 13 kind of Islamic group, different type, and that time, before Haftar, we will say that like this kind of 13 groups, they were fighting each other because each group, they have their power, they have their own members, they have their own guns, they have like position and way, like controlling areas, and they were fighting each other. If they were Libyan fighters or Muslim Brotherhoods or extremists or Salafia or different type. This kind of especially in Derna, never controlled Derna because like each one he wanted to control the other one, disagree with him. And we as activists, we use this against them. Like many times we ask the government to send militias, but the tricky way the extremists like we have someone, his name Sufyan Gomu, he is from Qaida. We can say that. This person, he have his own area, and he have surrounded by a lot of people, family around him. Like talk to people, let's your son come to our mosque. Let's go through the youth, and they make it with a tricky way. Like they see the youth. Any kind of youth, they have a family problem, like one of his father or mother divorced, or one of them get killed, or they have a money problem, or they have health problem, or they have they make themselves groups, and like groups for field, look who's like specific person he can attend to them, and a group for training, and a group for Facebook or Twitter, or follow who's talking, who's speaking, who's they are working very, very professional, I will say that. Then they start to bring through the mosque, they have some ideas. I don't know how they wash minds, but they bring them. The first we said, okay, most of the education, they will not, youth, they are very educated, they will not follow them. But then we find a lot of educated, especially in Derna, they start to follow them. And they have their opinion. And when we talk to them, they refuse. They were like, I have one of them, he was very, very activist, and then suddenly he is exchanged to be an extremist, and he make his beard, and he make his trousers short, and never talk to women. He was a doctor. He studied in medicine university. Then he stopped his education, and he then now get killed in Syria. Like they take a lot of a group at the beginning of the revolution. Then we have a lot of extremists. They come from outside Libya, and especially in Derna, week by week, like come to a week from Algeria, from Yemen, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from Kazakhstan, from it's different. We have a German, we have Italian, we have a French, we have different kind of nationality come and training a group in Derna. Then next week they will leave. Then another group come. Part of them leave, part of them stay in Derna. And we can recognize that because Derna is very small, and if someone foreign come from outside, you will see that directly, and you will know he is foreign. Because people, they talk to each other. We have this neighbor, we have this person come to the shop, we have this. And they start to increase part by part. Then after the second, after the 2011 and 2012, they have very hidden group come. I remember that there is a woman through our working, she said, Nebras, I have a child. His age about 14 years, and this child left the house, and we had a hard time. I said, what happened to him? He said his father, he's a doctor and she is a teacher, and he's the only child that she have. And one day she was watching his trouser and she find a bullet in his pockets, in his. When she asked him, she gets anger, and he said, "Are you following me or something?" And she told his father. We discover later through his going to the mosque. The sheikh, he take him every Friday outside of the area, teach them how they use the gun. And when he talked to the sheikh, he said, "This is the Islamic way, that you should teach your children how they swim, how they use the gun, how they ride the horse. This is the Islamic way, and I'm helping. You should be proud of your son because I'm helping him to do these things." And when he asked the father to this sheikh to let his son back, he said, according to him, if he wanted to back, it's okay. If not, I will not force him. And here people, they recognize they start to lose their children day by day, and they involve with them. Under silence, the government, they know that. When we have a lot of government members, they have a meeting with extremists outside in Derna, like in Susa and Karsa, hidden meetings. And as I remember once, as a journalist, I wanted to follow this subject. I couldn't. I tried. I tried to see how can we catch this beating, but we couldn't to make it because it's very, very dangerous. I will just jump to another areas that we have very activists. They are outside. Most of the activists now outside of Libya, in Jordan and Tunisia and Egypt and Turkey and Europe. Some of them they ask asylum, some of them they couldn't have this chance, some of them they get killed even outside of Libya. And the thing that we still do that as activists, we still work up to now. We have a lot of groups. These groups, they are, working inside. We as we activists outside of Libya, we try to protect this group inside Libya, and we try to don't mention their names. And they give us this information, and we try to work with the international organization to help them by, possibility that we could by training, even training, because they will travel. This is what will be a problem, because they will know who is traveling and who is, because the system, airplane system and these things. And I try to give it very and very general, because this subject, it's very, very big, like a Libyan human rights organization. And especially the people who are working on this organization, what's happened to them. It's very, very big subject, and it's like 20 minutes or 25 minutes. It's not that much, because if I wanted to talk in general, I need projector and I need to describe these things. And thank you for your patience and listening to me.
Thank you. I think you did a great job. I think you breathed maybe 3 times in 20 minutes. So you told us a lot of things. And I will use my position, privilege to ask you the first question, and then maybe we can open to the floor and have a conversation. And I have many, many questions. One question I'd like to ask you, since both for human rights activists and for Islamic extremists, you mentioned the role that internationals played, either international organizations or individuals coming from a variety of countries. I wonder, what is your feeling? Do you think that if activists in Libya had received no training on human rights whatsoever, do you think that organizations would have developed anyways, looking after human rights? Or you think that the fact that there were international organizations is the cause for these organizations to exist in Libya for human rights? And regarding Islamic extremists, do you think that the radicalization of so many people in such a short time was driven, designed and then driven by foreigners? Or do you think that it was something that was happening anyways in Derna. And then people that came from abroad helped this process, but it was a process that would have happened anyways, with or without people coming from Afghanistan or Algeria or...
Yeah.
Can I just add on to that question as well?
Yeah.
Can you also perhaps get into the funding of who's funding the groups, if there was any international funding on the Islamicists from any other, for a country level?
If you
perhaps?
need to know, yeah, it's a very. I asked this question many times, but yeah, thank you for this question. For my opinion and my feeling, the organization in Libya, especially the human rights organization, they start by helping. They start appearing by themselves at the beginning. Then they get help by foreign organization, and because when we start inside the organization, we start to do these things by ourselves, but it's not very tight and it's not very visual and very correct, organized and these things. Then when we start meet the foreign organization, we try to see how they work and we ask them to give us kind of a training, and they give us training. But in my own opinion, most of the training that we got is not very good training. I will talk about myself and others that I know. If I had a very good training, like how can I protect myself from the beginning? How can I save my work? How can I protect myself from my work to get hacking or that's the ideas. But in the beginning, we don't have this kind of information. Until now, we still we don't have this information as activists. We have one or two training, but information training. Yeah, thank you so much. Information training, not very much. Maybe once or twice that we got. It's not all for the activists. It's not all activists know that. And remind me for this. For the foreign.
Yes, for the.
I will say that actually it's. I will talk about my opinion. Libya, especially Derna. It was, like that. It's made by others from outside. I don't know, and by help from inside, because we have this kind of groups actually from the beginning, and they get funded from. I will not say that, but it's get funded especially by the Gulf areas, Qatar, Emirates, and we all know that's inside Libya. And if you talk to the society, but if you need to talk, you need. We find some papers financial papers from between Qatar and some groups, people, Islamic leaders. They get funded, or by government leaders. They get funded. They got. A regular salary from them, and this paper we publish it on Facebook, and we show it. And I remember I said that when one of the Qatarian journalists get killed in Benghazi, I said that I don't think he did not kill by Libyan hands. He get killed by someone outside hands, because they need a kind of outside. They wanted to put their hands inside Libya, and they start to increase more and more the situation in Libya. Maybe because it's benefits between political things between countries. Maybe because benefits of some countries, if Libya start to grow up, it will not be very helpful for others, because it will affect it badly or reverse to others' country. And also because I will see Libya location, it's very important for the Africa, especially for the south, and also because we have it's very, very complicated things, and the funding to have a very information funding, it's very hard, because we ask many times, also from the country, they have the power, like why you are not follow this kind of funding to them, because they said it's not very easy to follow the funding to see who is funding the Islamic states, or how they because they are very very mixed nationality, and if you want it, it's very tough question.
Well, I think you provided us already with that.
Yeah, it's very very tough question, but
So it's
yeah.
a mix of already some Islamic extremists present in Derna,
Yeah.
historically, because of historical reasons, because of the repression of Gaddafi, especially
Yeah.
in Derna, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. So some homegrown movements or tendencies, but you argue that it was reinforced
Mhm.
and instrumentalized by foreigners that saw an opportunity to penetrate in Libya through these
Those
groups in
people.
there.
Yep, that's what I said.
Thank you. So I'll open the floor for questions, and don't be shy. Ahmed.
Why do you think their narrative is so powerful that attracts the youth in Libya, the Islamist narrative? That attracts the youth instead of them going to this civil society movement and volunteering for advocating for human rights. They instead go to an extremist and work with them. What are their incentives? Like, what makes their narrative more powerful than yours?
What? Sorry.
What makes their story more powerful that attracts younger people?
It's a very good question. Thank you for that. But I will, from my experience, I will say that how the activists become an extremist. I don't know if I said that. You will find part of especially in Derna, we are a very close Islamic and how can I say that?
A conservative society.
Yes.
Traditional.
That maybe that's why, because the family inside Derna, they prefer their children to go to the mosque more than they get educations, and inside the house you will see. I mean, if you became a very very a good Muslim inside the mosque, that's mean you will have a very high position. And another thing that it was very very excited for me, that the youth, they have, when they become with the extremists, they give them kind of power, and he feel like I'm very I attend to this group. I need to, because they give me this kind of feeling, and they give me this kind of a protection, and they give me it's a very very like if you were nothing in the society, then you attend with someone, and I'm sorry, suddenly you have money and power, and if you say something, and you will find a group follow you, and you are a very have much experience in life. I think it will be kind of مغري.
Tempting.
Yes, these things. The roots in Derna, they are very very close, and we have this problem from I remember that's 1996 when Gaddafi came to Derna and sent his army to Derna, and they attend each house. They looking for the extremists, and especially for the Muslim Brotherhood's groups, they have like in hidden groups, or also and that time he let some Libyans to travel from Libya to Iraq and stay that. I mean,
what year?
1996.
To travel to Iraq for? Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His daughter also went to Iraq on a mission.
No, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And he like that time, I mean, before the revolution, Gaddafi, he played very, I mean, he like pushed people to be a very good Muslim, and the other hand, he take them and if they became very extremist. And he support, like he said once in one his speech, go to, if you wanted to fight in Gaza or Iraq, or he mentioned that if you want to, I mean, and Derna, because that's also, she had not have this chance to be very economic country or city and development and to look care for the youth. We were ignoring for all time, like if you wanted to go complete your study, you will follow you, because I mean from Derna, that means you have one of relatives, he is an extremist, and he have you will have a very very sensitive situation, and you will be very very hard way. I remember I wanted to complete my study, but because my father, he left the job very early, and I couldn't, like, I need to go to learn the green books and these things. When I refused, that means I can't complete my study. If you wanted, I mean, these kind of things make kind of anger inside you, and they said I wanted to do a lot of things by Islamic name to have a power to revenge. I mean, it's very difficult to understood how how the situation become very very like that.
One or two.
Yeah, I had a question about Western intervention and sort of what's the narrative around that and the viewpoints, both from the human rights activist side, how that was viewed and is continually viewed, and also what the extremist narrative is around the Western intervention that happened in 2011.
Western
Western intervention in تدخل ب 2011 in support of the revolt.
The no-fly zone that turned into...
Oh yeah. That time, there is some reports. I remember that they said we have some extremists in the front line, and that they tried to. And Gaddafi, he mentioned that, and he played on this that, and he said, if you did that, you will face Islamic groups in the east side, and he said that especially in Derna. He mentioned Derna that time because he knows that. He know that's what he did to the society there, and he know the situation, and the groups in there know what they will become. And also Sufyan Gumu, he was one of Gaddafi games in Derna, because he was not in Derna actually. His roots is from Benghazi, and he was in the prisons. And suddenly he came out before the revolution from prison and come to Derna. And if you follow this kind of subject, you will ask why he came out from the prison. And we know also Sufyan Gumu, he is one of Sufyan bin Laden driver. And we know also who is bin Laden. And
So what year was that when he came out of prison?
The end of 2010, I will say that. Yeah. And it was like, you will never understand, because that's, Gaddafi like arrested people and let them. But also Salem Darby, he was one of the Libyan fighters, and he was in the prison. Then he, they let him go out and back to Derna. And we will find difference or a lot of Derna, people, they were like that. And when they will attend inside the prison, you will find what you will do inside the prison. You will keep Quran, and you will connect with the other Islamic group, and you will have their ideas and you will keep them. And when he made this killed, I mean, Muslim, when he killed the 1,200 person in Muslim, and he killed some, but he let some too. He didn't kill them all. And you will see like this kind who killed, and there are some people who were with them, and he let them out and back to their families and houses. It's but in that time, I mean, the internationals, they didn't confirm 100%, or maybe they confirmed, I don't know, but they choosing to help the society because it's politics.
If I may go back on his question, in Derna, did you get a sense of what was the attitude of the Islamists towards the intervention of the West that came and started bombing for many, many months, I mean, several months, and played a major role in overthrowing Gaddafi? The Islamists were opposed to Gaddafi as well.
Mm-hmm.
What was their attitude towards NATO bombing?
Can you say it with another way just to...
Yeah, so the Islamists that were in Derna,
Okay.
Libyan Islamic fighting group, some were in jail, others were around the country. Gaddafi was very brutal in repressing them.
Mm-hmm.
So when the revolution started, they were fighting against Gaddafi. As you mentioned, not initially,
Mm-hmm.
but somewhere halfway through the
Through,
revolution,
yeah.
they started joining the front and fighting specific groups in specific areas, specific objectives. But they joined the uprising and the revolution to topple Gaddafi.
Yeah.
So in that situation, they were de facto allied with NATO. The coalition of the willing that was bombing in Libya was helping these groups advance against Gaddafi. So they were in a sort of alliance. But I wonder, I guess his question was towards what was the attitude towards the West and towards the intervention in Libya? Were they saying that it was a good thing, a bad thing?
Yeah, at that time, they still they are not appearing, they are very, very extremist. At that time, they were working to just remove the Gaddafi. And they were cooperate with the others because they have one aim, it's Gaddafi. And I remember I have a friend, actually he's Lebanese friend, he told me, Nebras, don't dream much because now you are old, but wait a little bit, it's something that will happen. I said, no, we'll never, because he said this word, when he said what he said to me, come to my mind in 2000, especially the end of 2012, and when I saw all these things, and now I discover that they appearing themselves, they are like a real friend, and they need really to help the society, and they really to remove the Gaddafi. And that time, because we were focused just in Gaddafi, we don't see the other bad parts and what will happen in the future. But after what happened to Abdel Fattah Yunus, here started the problem, because what happened to him, the way he get kidnapped, and how they under Mustafa Abdel Jalil known, and his bodyguard actually known, and his bodyguard that time he went like a very suddenly traveled to Egypt and left him.
Sorry if I mentioned that. Yunus was a general that defected and basically joined the rebels and became the top military commander, commanding basically those loose groups fighting the regime.
Yes.
He was killed during the revolution in a very suspect manner. They came and took him and then killed him. But they entered supposedly with the knowledge of some authorities for a meeting, and basically took him away and killed him.
Yeah.
And that was a very important moment.
Yes, the group who come and took him, they have a paper authorization that give them the authority to take him and bring him to ask him few questions. But what happened, that it's very unknown until now. like what's happened to him. And the funny thing is that we are a family country. Like if someone gets killed, the whole family come and wanted to revenge. But when they went to Mustafa Abdul Jalil, I don't know, he said a lot of things to them, like if you be quiet. I mean, we will let him like a good person, but if you talk and you did something bad, we will show like he is actually supporting Gaddafi. And he said, I have a CD and these things. And I remember I asked Mustafa Jalil about Mustafa Abdul Fattah Yunus, and he said he don't know what happened to him. He ignore what's happened to him.
Michael.
Thank you for your presentation. Kind of maybe piggybacking on Jean-Louis' question, I'm curious about the issue of knowledge and awareness raising, training, and development, particularly with the still fairly new civil society and of human rights defenders. You mentioned that after a while there was some assistance from the international community coming in, and you mentioned that there were certain things, hard skills that were still certainly lacking, cybersecurity, for example, encryption, safe communication between activist networks. So I'm curious about, in terms of the people that are coming in to provide this support, is it coming more directly from governments? Are we coming from nonprofits and NGOs, or other human rights defenders and activists in other countries? And looking at this in the sense of what has been the most successful, what has been the most useful, and where can we go from here to improve upon this? Is it better to bring people to Libya or to bring people in Libya someplace else for this type of exchange and training? Is it necessary to increase collaboration regionally, or are there transferable lessons and other sort of groups of activists in other parts of the world completely disconnected geographically that can provide, really valuable exchange?
What do you mean? You mean NGOs or?
Well, either NGOs or
activists in general.
Unorganized groups of other human rights defenders. I mean, in Aceh, for some, as a random example, but and in sense also of yeah.
Yeah. Were there some that came unorganized like that?
When?
Were there groups who came other than funded NGOs?
So the meat of the question basically is, in terms of training and capacity development for human rights defenders, up till this point, what has been sort of the most beneficial, useful skill set, and what is lacking the most, and what do you think is the most successful or achievable way of providing that needed sort of skill set?
I will say that I mean, most of them, they have their own experience. I don't know how, but from the connection from the organization, work through a lot of foreign organization or international organization, and they see how the group work, and they transfer that to their own organization. Like, oh, I saw them working like that, and do that, and do that. We should do that. We should. I mean, they try to follow the same steps. This is one. And the second things, not all works we were photos and approved what happened. And this was a very, very big mistake for us, through our works. I mean, not all we were typing what's happening. And sometimes working in individual things, according to how can I deal with this? Okay, I find this a problem. I will deal with her according to my experience and my society, and I will know how the tricky ways to solve this problem. Or in general, the most things that it's very, very affected for the human rights activists or NGOs, that they should have like now, I mean, on the one things to work. We still have this problem, like one organization work in different parts. Now in Libya, it's very difficult to work like before. I mean, the situation now, especially the extremists, they are now separate everywhere. And I still say that. They are separate everywhere. They don't believe me. When I said the first things in Derna, they are in some parts, but they still hiding. I felt that time no one believed me, maybe because a woman, I said that, I don't know, in my country. But now I will say that they are everywhere. They have they are in government, they have in Beida and Tobruk and Tripoli and Gdamis and Jebel, the west mount with Amazigh, they are in south. And they are very extended, I don't know, like a cancer. And now the problem, if we have this activist outside, I prefer they will come outside and have this kind of training. But the problem, if it should be like hidden, no one knows that will go to have this training. Because if they like, I will go to have a health something, I will go to do like this thing. But if they tell like they will go to have a training, it will be a very, very big problem when they back. Because they will be in the system that, as I said, okay, they went where they went, they will back, and they are really watching each one what exactly doing inside Libya. And that's why we don't populate much the activists inside Libya, because they will be in danger. And we know that they will be kidnapped or killed, or I don't know, maybe one of his family will be kidnapped or killed, or but also it's good to how to protect your Facebook, your email, your Skype, myself. I got hacked many times. Until now, I told him last night Skype now like 7 months I couldn't access my Skype. I asked to some organization. I have a Swedish organization to help me, and the AT inside.
Civil rights defenders?
Yes, and ask him. He's actually Bahrainian guy, and he tried to help me to access my. He said I couldn't. I failed, and it happened to me many times. I mean,
who hacked you? I mean, you don't know, but so is it
last time actually, I know, but I can't mention until like I prove it.
Yeah.
But before, it's very, I can't know, because it's come to me fake names. Sometimes foreign names, sometimes like websites names, and sometimes like you don't know exactly who are they. And this is the problem. Like if I wanted to protect my website, what should I do? Sometimes I should stop. Like when my friend gets killed, that because my page, it was last year 2014 and the end of April. When he gets killed, actually sorry, it's the end of May, not April. When he gets killed, before he gets killed, my page, my Skype, my email, my everything gets hacked. And I couldn't access anything. I went to IRI organization, and I was working with them that time, and I asked them to help me to access my tab, and said we failed, we couldn't. And I like stuck, because I know them, they are very strong to deal with this stuff. Then by accident, I have a Syrian woman, she's a friend, she's working with me also. She said, let me try, give me everything and I will manage that. And actually she did like 2 days, and she bring it to me and said, I solved your problem and you have that problem, like someone gets access your account.
And if I may add, it's not your bad experience. I worked with a lot of activists in Libya, and this was not just a case, an outlier. It was really happening over and over. It started becoming very problematic. I guess late 2013, definitely 2014, a lot of activists had their account hacked, and it became very, very difficult for them to communicate with each other, because activists in Libya, civil society, relies heavily, first and foremost on Facebook, and then on social media in general, to communicate and to do their work. And so it became very difficult for them to communicate with each other, with no notions of digital security, with no support, and no knowledge of how to overcome these challenges.
That's true. Because if we talk by phone, we know that the phone it's followed by them, and they will have this conversation, and they will know who's speaking.
So
and
who is them?
Extremists, and also specific Muslim brotherhoods. They access everything in Libya.
So where were they before?
Before the revolution, or before what?
Before the revolution.
Before the revolution, they will have not that much working, but at the last years, they start to make a kind of agreement with them, Saif al-Islam, and he accepts them, and they start to make like the internet system in Libya by them, and they start to serve a lot of them under their known. Like they try to make Libya communicate with outside, but with limited way that you have. Like you have a Facebook, you have specific things that you work in, but also with limited and under government watch. And government, we know that, I mean, Gaddafi that time, asked help by Russian professionals to come to Libya and work in his organization to control the internet in Libya, and to be very, very careful through that.
Yeah, internal surveillance in Libya was one of the most sophisticated and pervasive throughout the Middle East and North Africa, if not the world. And Gaddafi actually purchased systems from top countries, including France, right before the revolution. Actually sold to Libya a system to conduct massive surveillance, but not just France, many other countries as well. So Gaddafi and the regime had quite an apparatus for internal surveillance of a population of 6.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick follow-up then. What's the status now then of this type of digital security, cybersecurity training for activists in Libya? Is there any type of organized, strategic approach to this, or is it still kind of one person or a small group of people realizes the need, tries to find out how to do it, teaches their friends very sort of informally and organically? Or is there a push to try to bring in more
In general, yes. In general, like someone, like one of us, he knows something, and others, he ask him, like, I have this kind of a problem. He give me like information, or give us information to solve this problem. But in Tunisia, we have a kind of a training like how you photograph inside Libya. And if someone stop you and watch like your phone, he will never find any photo. And this kind of photo, it will go directly to Britain. And then I have the right to like, each thing that I see, like I can't take a photo, but when they come and suspect me that I had a photo, I said, no, I have nothing. And this program, it's not known, it's a kind of test program, but I'm afraid that the program, it will come, popular for each one. And here we will, most of the access, they will be in a problem. We need kind of this program, like how he can use his phone in a safe way. Like he can type a lot of things in safe way. How he work in local or social media in safe way, because we know that it's easy to hack. Viber, Skype, all these things. They gave us like you should make a HTTPS. That's mean it's very safe, but actually no, it's not that much safe.
I propose that we take 2 questions and then we have dinner and continue the conversation over food, which in Turkey gets conversation even better.
Thank you very much for your inspiring talk and for work. 2 half questions, I suppose. The first is, could you tell us a bit about what control there was before the revolution on the religion and making of the mosques in Libya? So did Gaddafi's regime have any formal kind of like system whereby they heard
Yeah.
the mosques on the Fridays? And secondly, in putting from the perspective of the extremists,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think they think is the biggest kind of block or impediment? What do they want most to kind of overcome to see the vision of a Islamist Libya? So, what is the extremists' biggest enemy? You know, what do they see as the big? Is it people like you, or is it kind of a resurgent Libyan nationalism, or what is that? What is the biggest?
Now?
Yeah. What are they most afraid of?
Okay. Before the regime, yes, he was controlling the religion, especially the sheikh and inside mosques. Like he have his own people that have information highly, and inside each mosque you have in Libya, and like write your kind of reports to the government and see these things, and sometimes the regime separate kind of a speech to the sheikh. I mean, to inside mosque to speak. I mean, kind of a speech, and they force them, like, if you want to speak this Friday, you need to speak about this subject, and they give the sheikh monies, like, if you give up and talk and give the speech, you will have this amount, like 50, I think, dinar, or I don't know how much, maybe 100 dinar. It's a kind. They try to control them in general, but if someone try to go out of the speech and make a different kind of a speech that they order, they will be in very trouble, and they will know, and they will get taken and arrested in government. This is before. It's about now who is most danger, or now it's, I will say that it's both. So I mean, in ISIS in general, but both of them, because we have local members, I mean Libyan members, and we have foreign members. And the hard thing, they became very monster. They are very, very bloody, and they like to do things like killing, cutting, order, these things. And it's, I mean, they let a father kill his son by shooting gun, because his son, I don't know, he steal something from the shop, or I don't know, they put him in the sports club front of the whole people, and they publish it that day we will punish that, and believe
Stadium.
Yes, and put him and bring his father, and they said to him, take the gun, and if he did not do that, he knows that he will be arrested by them. And they let a brother kill his brother. I mean, one brother kill the others. They let like two brothers fight each other in the same family. They let a brother kill a sister. We have, like, who is order? He's from Algeria, and I mean the head of them in Derna, they are from Algeria and Yemen. I mean, who's dealing the court and give the kind of judgment, and take the people from the prison and start to ask them and these things. And then they who is do the work of their it's Libyan, actually.
Right.
Unfortunately, they are Libyan.
But if we were all extremists around this table talking about how can we advance extremism in Libya, like what are the problems in front of the extremists?
You're not getting any wine.
Well, he doesn't want anyone. He's an extremist.
I can't grow a beard. But you need.
You can have some of mine.
What is the threat in the eyes of an extremist in Libya? What are they scared about? What is their...
They are scared about the ISIS?
No, all the extremists in Libya or in Derna, what are their main threats? What are their
They're afraid from people in general. Like, if people get united against of them, it will be a problem. Now this happened in Derna, and we have this now in Derna, and but In Derna, it's different way because we have two groups actually. Abu Slim, a group, and they are a militia, and the extremists. And Abu Slim, they were cooperate a time with ISIS, and they put their hands on the Derna, like a kind of like they deal with them. They arrested people. They make a kind of asking and these things. And there is a whole family. It's in Derna get killed by ISIS under Muslim watching. And Muslim, they are Libyan fighters, and they are extremists.
Right.
And they became cooperate after Haftar. I forgot to mention that. After when Haftar come and he said, I need to make an army in Libya, and he started to bring people from west of Libya and put them in the army and do a lot of things. The extremists, the different kind of group get cooperated together against of Haftar. Like what happened in the Gaddafi. The same now they look just to Haftar. They need to get rid of from Haftar, and they are became more stronger. Now in Derna, even with Haftar, they have a problem now between Abu Slim and extremists, money problem, because the extremists, they wanted to control the salaries of Abu Slim, and Abu Slim refused to do that, and they start to fight, argument. Extremists, they kill two members from the Abu Slim, here become a problem. They start to fight each other. Derna people, they used to this benefit, like they come out and they support Abu Slim according to the ISIS. Why? Because Abu Slim, they are actually Derna, members, and they are from Derna. But the extremists, they are mixed Derna and outside. And now, we still have this kind of fighter until now. Like yesterday, we still have kind of bombing and these things and in Derna and. But now Abu Slim, they try to put their conditions, and Abu Slim actually it's Qaeda, a little bit Qaeda side. Like I can't say they are not extreme, but they are also extremists. I can't support them too because even if they were from my city, but they have their own agenda, and I agree with that. Yep.
So I propose that we have dinner and continue the conversation over a sandwich.
Okay.
Thank you, Nebras.
Thank you
Thank you so much.